Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Finale, and this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 300 and hold on one second. 235. Wow, I'm messing up. See, Jessica, I always have trouble with technology, even though I'm really good at it. And I don't know why. I guess get nervous. Anyway, we've been doing this for 232 weeks in a row. We are the longest running live real estate broadcast. We're not the longest running broadcast, but we are the longest running live broadcast. Anyway, Real Estate Talk, TGIF, Jessica Dennehy. Wow, I said that wrong. I always said it right. Now I said it wrong. Anyway, we're going to talk about pivot and slay. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, and we'll hit you with that in a few minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll see you. We'll be back in 1 minute. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Dave Finale with Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. Real Estate Talk 235. Real Estate Talk TGIF. Jessica, before I introduce you completely, I have to ask you a question. That question is, what does TGIF stand for?
Well, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I'm going to say, thank God it's Friday, but I don't know. Maybe you have a different terminology for it.
You know what? You're close, but that's really not the correct answer. The correct answer is, and I always like to make people right. Thank God it's finale. I mean, what else? I mean, it's my name. I'm sorry. It just worked out that way. Anyway, so welcome, Jessica Dennehy from Pivot and Slay. What a great story this is, and a great human being you are, and what you do and how you got there. So you help people go through a path to help them grow, to step into authenticity and unlock their freedom. But tell me, how did you get there?
By doing it for myself, really, is what happened. I mean, I'm a big believer that if you want to do something with someone and work in collaboration with them, then they better have accomplished what you're looking to accomplish. And so for me, I really want people, parents especially, moms especially, to know that they can have it all. They can have a life that includes a lot of self-love, a lot of freedom in adventure, and an amazing career too. They don't have to choose between all of these things. They actually can make a life that includes all of them. And to me, that's real freedom. And I did that for myself through entrepreneurship by leaving my job that I worked my entire life to achieve and going all into something else. And I've just kept building from there.
So talk to me about your story and how you came upon Pivot and Slay, how you got there from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I'll start from the now and I'll work my way back. Is I right now run Pivot and Slay Consulting, which is an entrepreneurial coaching company. And it's also the business that I do my motivational speaking out of. So I travel around the country speaking on stages to entrepreneurs and parents about how they can have it all and how I made that happen for myself. So that's Pivot and Slay. And it's kind of just a couple years old right now. And you would think that's in its infancy, but I've grown it really fast because this is my second company that I've scaled. And, the first time you do something, you kind of do it the hard way and you learn a lot of lessons throughout that. And the second time you do it, you get to take all that knowledge with you and go faster. And that's kind of what Pivot and Slay is hoping to achieve with working with other entrepreneurs, is just getting you where you want to be faster. And that's not just with business strategy, because any coach can do that. But I really work with people from the inside out because I want them to know that the way they get a better, happier life filled with freedom is by working on themselves and showing up to their life differently and their business, because your business is you. You mentioned authenticity. I'm a big believer that the brand life that brings the brand to life is you and your energy. So you got to work on you first. And I found that out the hard way because I wanted to be a lawyer for my entire life. And so I worked very hard to achieve that. And I got my dream job at the New York Stock Exchange, being a regulatory attorney. And I did that for 10 years. And suddenly I felt that push and pull that so many entrepreneurs feel of like, this isn't right for me. I don't want to work with someone else. I'm feeling like I hit a wall here and I can't grow anymore. And I just want to do my own thing on my own time in my own way. And when I hit that wall, at that point in time, I was married, and my husband at that time had a great idea for a barbershop. He had a very big entrepreneurial spirit before I did. I wouldn't consider myself an entrepreneur at that point. I was more of an investor. I'm like, here, go build your dream. And as I watched him build our barbershops, I saw him light up, and I wanted that too. And I didn't feel that anymore with law. So I left, and we decided to scale the business together, and we opened more shops, and we grew that brand, and we learned a lot, and it's 10 years old now. And that was a tremendous learning experience for me. And I finally felt free. I got to do things on my own timeline in my own way and bring a piece of me to the company. And when I opened Pivot and Slay on my own, and I got to be fully me and have a brand that reflected my authentic self, that's when I found the most freedom. And I want to show other people how to do that.
That's a really interesting story. So you went from wanting to be an attorney all your life and stock exchanges and stuff, and you started with barbershops, right? So talk to me about the idea that with the barbershop with your husband and stuff, and how you how'd you get that from being an attorney to a barbershop? How'd that start?
Wasn't my concept, honestly. At that point in time, I was not an entrepreneur yet. I just knew I was uncomfortable in the corporate world. I wasn't able to be me. I have pink hair. I'm a woman on Wall Street. That's pretty rare, right? Like I wasn't able to fully just bring my own femininity to the job. And I felt like I had hit a wall in learning there. And I'm big on self-development. I want to keep evolving. So my husband at the time, now my ex-husband, he was like, listen, I want a better barbershop around here. I don't want to go to a women's salon, and I don't want to go to this like ancient barber in a hole in the wall. Like, I want a men's shop. Let's create that. There's a need for it. And I was like, okay. And I was scared. Like, in hindsight, it all worked out. But in the moment, I was pregnant with my first child. I was a week away from my due date, and we're signing a 20-year lease. That's pretty freaking scary. I'm not going to sit
Yeah.
here and tell you it was fine. Neither of us know how to cut hair. I'm a lawyer. He's a clothing designer, and we're opening up a barbershop. It's like a joke, right? It sounds like the beginning of a knock knock joke or something, but business is business. And that's what we learned. If you follow your gut instincts, you really get much further than you think you can, because
Right.
a lot of business is just feeling the room. And so because of this news, we started barbershops, and that's really all there is to it. It was nothing more crazy than that. It was just something that, that we got to scale up to 3 had struck. And one of those shops was overseas, which was pretty exciting.
So you just said a phrase that really intrigued me. You said a lot of business is feeling the room. Can you expand on that a little bit? Let me know what you mean by that.
Yeah. So we all have inside of us these gut instincts. If you think about it from a very visceral perspective, you're born with zero knowledge at all. What do babies do? You put them in the arms of someone, they feel uncomfortable, they cry. That's just a feeling. They don't have any knowledge of that person. They don't have any prior disposition. They just feel something's not right. Or you put them in their mom's arms, and they're like snuggling up against them, right? Because they feel that it's right. This is a visceral talent we all have. But as we get older and learn, and logic starts to take over, we start to push all of those feelings aside. But they're still inside of you. And most entrepreneurs are not tapping into that. I have made very significant choices in my life based upon my gut. What is my gut telling me, even when I don't fully understand it? And I am a huge believer that if most entrepreneurs did their business, grew their brand this way, they would be more successful, because your logic is actually working against you in a lot of the cases. You're overthinking things. Overthinking leads to inaction. Following your gut leads to being decisive. It leads to taking action that you feel is right and moving towards that direction, I understand it.
So
I have tons
we're
of
having a
examples
little,
from my own life where this happened, and
we're having a little. You're breaking up a little bit as we move along. I don't know if how your connection is. Anyway, so you talk. Okay, so logic works against us. I agree with that. I mean, my business and what I've been in for my entire career, whenever I went against my gut, it cost me money, cost me time, cost me frustration, cost me aggravation. So how does having good gut feelings and feeling the room work toward someone building the right mindset to be able to actually go out and just perform the duties of their business? For instance, a real estate agent.
well, the way that I think it plays into business and building is if you take a small step, obviously you're not going to be like me and make a crazy decision based off your gut if that's not something you've done often. But if you try to purposefully cultivate this skill set, what you'll see is that more often than not, your gut is going to lead you in the right direction. You just have to take those small steps to find it. When you hear that voice inside of you saying, like, yeah, this is the right thing, and you do it and it works out, that's going to give you the confidence to keep building upon that and going for it. That, in my opinion, gut instinct builds confidence because you learn to start trusting yourself. You understand, oh, I do know more than I think I do. I can do more than I think I can. And just knowing you don't need to understand the how. So, for example, with Pivot and Slay, right? My barbershops were shut down during COVID. And I thought, what can I do to be productive while I'm basically out of work? Well, I love helping people. So I started using my Instagram account to talk to business owners about how I got loans, how we were maneuvering during the pandemic to stay relevant, et cetera, et cetera. I did that all for free. I started talking about my morning routine, which includes yoga. I became a yoga instructor, thought that was going to be, that felt right. Turns out, no, I don't like teaching, but that helped build me up inside. But I followed my gut, right? Thinking I thought I knew the how. I thought I'll make money being a yoga instructor. So I became a yoga instructor. Well, no, Jessica, you don't know everything. You followed your gut and you were right. Yoga instructor training was perfect for your self development. So I didn't understand the how. Well, now what? I don't like teaching. So that was a waste, right? Nope, because I became a bigger, stronger human. I got to solidify myself inside, which eventually led to me building out my coaching company, which includes this element of self development that I learned during yoga teacher training, right? So there was a pattern of force driving me to
Right.
make these decisions leading up to the creation, but I didn't know the how. I didn't know how this was all going to come together. I was just kind of going through the motions and following my gut. But because I developed this trust with myself and confidence in my feelings through the years, I was able to rely on them more during this time of crises.
All right. So we talked about feeling the room and what you did to build, and there's a path to everything. That's what you really just said is even though yoga, being a yoga instructor wasn't it, it helped you on the path where you learn. So when we talk about feeling your gut and we talk about um, logic works against you, but gut feelings lead to um, to better decisions. There's that time when you build confidence from your gut, but there's also that time, and this is a phrase that I've used for myself and a lot of other people have put on themselves with that thing called imposter syndrome, right? Where you're up there, you're about to do it, and you don't think you have the value, you don't think you're enough, you don't think you're good enough. And that basically has to do with a lot to do with so many things. Can you expand on that a little bit for me?
Yeah. I mean, this is something that holds all of us back at certain stages of the game. And the way that I feel about it is if you if you allow imposter syndrome to take over your mind, you'll end up being the smartest person in every room that you're in, and that will equal zero growth. I want to be in a room where I am not the smartest person, that people who have achieved more than me in different ways are there so I can learn from them. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that I don't have any value to them. They've achieved things I haven't, but I've achieved things they haven't in ways that they haven't. So, for example, I coach this one person who makes at least 4 times what I make in a year, at least. You would think to yourself, and when he asked me to coach him, I was nervous. I'm going to be honest, that was an imposter syndrome for me because I was like, man, you're super successful financially. I can't compete with that, right? Like, I don't know how to do that. You're going to teach me how to do that probably. But he didn't come to me for that, right? He knew how to make the money. He was suffering in other parts of his business and his life by not bringing his best foot forward. And he didn't know how to write a book, which I've written 3 now. He didn't know how to speak on stage, which I do twice, 3 times a month. He didn't know how to run an event, which I do once a month. There are things I know that are not maybe equal to him financially, but equal in value, intrinsically, that he needed to know and he didn't know. So I thought to myself, how can I add value to someone that makes way more money than me? Well, that's how I added value, by teaching him the skill sets that I have that he doesn't. And now I've made him bigger and better. At the same time, he's teaching me a thing or two. There's this like swap of energy that we can do
Yes.
with people, no matter where they are in life. And that's why you need to be in a room with people who are super successful, because they've all succeeded in other ways. They can learn from you and you can learn from them. I've learned firsthand that imposter syndrome is total BS, because if I can coach this guy and he wrote this blissful, amazing review of how brilliant I am and how much I've helped him grow when he makes 9 figures a year, you can do whatever it is you think you can't do. I mean, it's just proof. The proof happens once you take that scary step. I wouldn't have known how I can help him if I said no, if I let that imposter syndrome take over and I didn't take him as a client. And that's the important thing of moving forward and pushing forward and be in those positions that are a little uncomfortable.
I ask people this question in different ways all the time. Anybody that's been on this broadcast and other friends of mine. And I'm going to ask you, Jessica, what's the switch? What's the switch? What's the push? What's the thing you click on to say, yeah, you know what? I can do it. Let me take that leap. It's a leap of faith. It's a leap of what? I mean, is there a switch or is it a process?
I think both. I think there's switchable moments throughout your life where your back's up against a wall and you're forced into a choice you wouldn't have made. And if you're like me and you're just continuously evolving, because I am, like, the person you see now didn't exist a year ago and will not exist a year from now. And in between those switchable moments are tiny journey driven moments. So I can name 3 moments where I flipped the switch because my back was up against the wall. But every moment in between then led to my confidence building and building to make that next pivot moment, right? That next switch moment. So the first one was when I didn't get into that I applied to after working my butt off to live out my dream. And then the night before school started, a school that waitlisted me let me in. And I had to decide right then and there if I was going to go into school not knowing a thing, without any books, any laptop, any apartment, or if I was going to cower it out and shy away. And I flipped the switch because my back was up against the wall, right? Years later with Mad Men, I was a week away from having a baby. And my husband at the time is looking at me like, should we sign this 20-year lease? Are you in or out? Back up against the wall, switch flipped, right? Then during the pandemic, no job, businesses shut down. Am I going to throw money into starting a second company? The whole switch. But in all those moments, I built up my confidence. I wouldn't have been able to flip a switch on the other two, the 2 bigger company things, if I hadn't tried it that first time. So I think it's a journey of flipping switches over and over again that allows you to do that continuous evolution to bring you to a higher level every year, every moment.
Yeah, it's that. It's also, is it an attitude? Is it like having the guts to do it? We talked about gut feelings, but having the guts is something completely different. Having the nerve. Um, do you have to be adventurous to be able to flip those switches?
I mean, you definitely have to lose your risk aversion a little bit. Yeah. And this shows up in different ways because everyone's financial situation is different. I'm a single mom. I take care of my kids 100% on my own. So when I tell you to go for it, I'm not over here spoiled and coming from money, right? I've built myself up. I have a lot to lose with every risk that I take. But the more I try, the more I've risked, the more I've won, the more I'm comfortable knowing that I can make stuff happen. And so
Right.
even if you're sitting here right now, like I have no money in the bank, how am I going to take a risk? If you really want that risk, if you really want to try, you'll find a way to make it work for your life without, going into destitution. You'll find a way in whatever your circumstance is. It might not be as drastic as mine, and that's okay. There's smaller ways that you can try to test this out and see how adventurous you want to be because everyone's in this scenario is going to be different. But the worst thing you can do is not even budge a little bit and just continue to hide from the things that make you uncomfortable instead of leaning into them a little bit to some degree.
So, what do you think is the first step that people need to take in order to step out of their doldrum, to step out of their fear, to step out of their doubt? Is there a first step aside from having guts or starting to get a little risk averse?
I mean, to me, the first step I took was because I'm a lawyer at heart, so I like evidence, right? So look at the evidence of your life, guys. I know of you out there listening to this, you can think of a moment in your life that was super impactful and how you kind of followed your instinct, even if you had a lot of logic going on, talking yourself into it or whatever, you leaned into that initial gut feeling and you won. And if you think back on that time and you're like, man, I did that. I didn't really realize what impact it would have or how I would get it done. And this could be something totally small. Just look at that evidence and be like, "Oh, I already know how to do this. I've already done it and won. I could do it again." That's how I got the confidence to keep going. And I think that's a small way that you can, just kind of look at the impact you've had already and the amazingness that you already are. Instead of thinking about how scared you are to move forward, look at all the wins you've had and focus on those, and it'll help give you that motivation to move forward.
How important would you say, with everything we've talked about so far, is setting a goal?
Super important. I mean, you get what you focus on. So if you're focusing on a measurable item, if you miss the mark, you probably got a lot like a lot more closer than you would have without it, right? So I have all of my coaching clients set financial goals, for example. Well, if your goal is to hit a million, last year you only hit 200,000. So your goal is now to hit a million. That's a pretty far-fetched goal, but it's probably still reachable. If you hit 800,000, you still hit 800,000.
Right.
That's still I can't do math, 600,000 more than you did last year. Okay. So, like, that's movement. But if you didn't make that goal, you probably would have hit like 250 and been like, "Ooh, I did better than last year." Right. These things that we reach for, they keep it in the forefront of your mind. And that's important. If you want to see a bunch of crap in the world, you can go out and find it, right? If you want to see a bunch of goodness in the world, you can go out and find it. The the truth of your perception comes from what you focus on. So if you're focused on nothing, you will gain nothing. If you have goals in mind, you will gain them to some, and that's the importance of goal setting, in my opinion. But one goal I fell short on this past year was I wanted to take each of my daughters on their own private date every month. It ended up being that we did it one daughter one month, one daughter the next month, right? So I still hit each of them 6 times on a private date. It wasn't 12 times, but it was 6 times. And it was 6 times more than the year before because I was focused on it. And that's the importance of it. So, yes, setting goals, super important.
So, one of the things I try to help with my clients with, and my team and group, is having a ritual. My ritual includes, I read in the morning, I download from my head what's on it, and then I do gratitude journal and affirmations, and I stick with the affirmations. And work out. And then I've started to do probably something that's but the hardest thing I've ever tried to do, meditate. And it's difficult, I mean, but I've done this and I talk about it. And what I meditate on are my gratitudes and my affirmations. So that's made it easier. How important is that type of ritual to you and to how you work with your clients?
It is the backbone of my success, hands down. Without a morning ritual, it doesn't have to be the morning, but it's the morning for me. That
Right.
keeps me so focused, so diligent, so what I like to call spirit first. Like I am putting myself first. I am selfish every single morning. The first thing I do is get selfish. Without that, I could not pour into my family, my loved ones, my clients the way that I want to. And you've got to understand this, guys. Like it all starts with you. Your company starts with you. Your staff's mentality starts with you. Your clients' happiness starts with you. Your kids' success starts with you and what you show them. People will not listen to what you say, but they will follow what you do. If you wake up and you teach your kids that this is what you do, this is how you make your morning successful, they will follow, right? If you tell them to be happy and go for their dreams, but you're unhappy home, not going for yours, that's what they're going to do. And that is what made me start my morning routine, which is very similar to yours. I'm up at 4. I work out, I do yoga, I meditate, and then I journal gratitude and thoughts, whatever comes to my mind. That's my morning routine every day, 7 days a week. On the weekend, sometimes I let myself sleep a little bit later, but during the week, that's my routine. And there are days where that doesn't get accomplished because I'm not perfect. And those days suck. They're not as efficient. They're not as
Right.
focused. I'm not as
Yeah.
good. I'm not as happy. And so
Yeah.
the days I want to sleep in, I remind myself of that because I don't just wake up at 4 like I have an alarm clock. I'm not a psychopath, right? But the days I'm like, oh, I just want more sleep. I remember you're moody if you don't do this. You're unhappy when you don't do this. You want to wake up and the girls be happy and excited and you be moody, or you want to go enjoy the day. And I talk myself into it because I know it's the proven way for me to succeed. And I have a busy life. I raised 2 daughters on my own. I don't have a nanny. I travel every month with my parents' help watching the girls. I do homework. I do pickups. I do play dates. I run 3 businesses. I am a busy human being, all right? And the only reason I can accomplish all that is because I got selfish and I put my own spirit and well-being first through my morning ritual.
You know what? I would like to bottle what you just said because I think it's the most important thing that we do. And I'm reading a book now called Buddha's Brain. And it's just it's astounding when you look and listen to, how your body's working with all different things. And the one thing I'll take out of it from today's reading of that was endorphins, right? And you get that from working out and exercise, and you get rolling with it, and it makes you feel better. It gets you going during the day. And when you said, if I don't do this, I'm going to be moody, and I can't. You basically said I can't do that with my girls because they're going to be ready and happy and excited, and I'm going to be like, yeah, yeah, okay, okay. You can't do that shit.
Mhm.
You can't do that. So it's really important to have a great start to your day, in my opinion. And I tell people I think you need some kind of ritual that gets you going in the morning that excites you, right? Having support of that, even if it's yourself, is just so important. When I work with when I work with a lot of real estate agents, I want to go back to something we talked about before. Is you talked about being not wanting to be the smartest person in the room. My goal in when I go to events and stuff is I want to be that dumbest person in the room. And what I mean by that is that for years, when I've been in this business a long time, real estate, I would go and not ask a question because I thought it was a dumb question, right? And one of the things I realized over the past few years, just the past few years, is that I want to be the dumbest person in the room simply because if there's 100 people in that room, I know that 50 to 75% of the people in that room want to ask the same question, but they won't, right? Because they felt like I felt, because it's a feeling of lack. It's a feeling of, imposter syndrome. Oh, I don't want to sound stupid. These people might think I'm intelligent. So I always preach that, and to ask any question. Of course, we hear the saying, well, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Yeah, right. Okay, you're right, but still the same crap hits you in the head. When when we're talking about this, and we're talking about getting started in my business, in real estate business, a lot of people tend to go the wrong way, where they think that they can do things really easily and do things really quickly. Like anything else, they think it's an easy business, and it's really not. And as I mentioned earlier, there's an 80-20 rule, which probably hits a lot of different things. Um, it's extremely frustrating for a lot of agents, and they get caught in this path of, they'll do their 4 transactions a year, their 10 transactions a year, but they can't understand why they can't get past it. And one of the biggest problems that real estate agents have is getting over the doubt of themselves, the fear of themselves. Now, you made some switches in your life and in your career, but still remain true to yourself and got selfish before you got selfless. And we talked about a switch, but what would be the best thing that you could say to a real estate agent that is, they're kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, but they're always searching for that magic bullet, that silver bullet, that magic pill. What would you say to them?
I have so much to say to real estate agents because
Go. Just
I
start.
throw
Go
these
ahead.
monthly events. I throw these events every month that are free. I'm not trying to pitch you on them or anything like that,
You can
right?
pitch
They're
anything you
free.
want.
I I love entrepreneurs. And so because of that, I throw an event once a month at this beautiful restaurant in Long Island. And I have amazing speakers come and teach you guys stuff. And lots of real estate agents come. And there's one group I especially love. And they do things different. And that's why I love them. What I typically find, and I'm going to answer your question too, but this is going to be a little
Yes,
roundabout because I want to say
that's
something
fine.
else.
Go.
I started this event because I'm sick of people networking the incorrect way, which is, and real estate agents come to mind because you guys have a lot of client turnover. I mean, you need new leads all of the time. There's never a moment where you don't have, where you have enough leads and you don't need any more. So you guys come to these things the most. So I'm talking to you. Do you know what will get you the best leads, most compatible for you? Is when you come to these things and you talk to people and you don't pitch them and you don't fling your card in their face and tell them, if you need a real estate agent, let me know. Do you know how many cards I've gotten flung at me? They're in the garbage.
Right
There
away.
are 4
Right away.
people at my event that I will go to for anything I need now because they come over and over again. They add value to my room. They connect with people. They don't pitch themselves. They don't fling their business cards. They're actually connecting. And so I would love to say to you guys, I know it's not an immediate lead gen to connect. I know it takes more time and that scares you guys, but these are connections that will last a lifetime because anytime anyone asks me for a real estate agent, the four people come out of my mouth because they have built a relationship with me over the last year. I will never recommend anyone else because I know I can trust them, right? They built that know, like, and trust factor with me without pitching me. It's so valuable. And being in rooms like this with people who are super successful that have the same mindset, you got to find these rooms with the people who think like you, the people who want to grow like you do, and not be in the room with all these other dumbass agents that try to network in this antiquated way. Those rooms are not good for you. Get in entrepreneur rooms, okay? Not real estate rooms. That's the biggest advice I give you because all the real estate agents, they seem to have the similar mentality. And I think it's because they're just scared. They're scared they won't get the leads that they need. And I understand that need because it's so much turnover. But I'm telling you, this is going to impact your life. The second thing I can say, I'm trying to remember the original question now, is how do you get over that fear of asking the dumb questions? Like, everybody's got to start somewhere, guys. All right. Everyone has to start somewhere. There's still stuff to this day that I don't know, that I couldn't answer, that and any good coach will be like, I don't know. Let me figure it out. Let me find the person that can, right? Because I don't know anything. I don't know everything and I don't claim to.
That's great.
So there should be always something you don't know. There's always going to be. It might sound stupid and simple to someone else, but I can guarantee you that a couple years ago, they didn't know the answer to that either. So you got to be brave enough to own who you are, what you know, and also own what you don't know. That's the number one key to evolution, is owning both. You can't just front like you're the best at everything, because you're not. And people are going to see right through that. So the thread between the two things I just said is, if you got to show up as you got to show up ready to own every part of you, the flaws and the failures, just as much as the success. No chest pounding, no constant pitching, but just being real, because that's what gets you the clients for life. And listen, real estate's big right now. There's people like me who are chomping at the bit to invest. And if I'm going to be an investor, I'm a client for life. Don't you want me? Don't you want me to be that person that constantly comes back to you? I'm ready to do another one. I'm ready to do another one. Got to flip another one. If you want a relationship like that, then you got to start networking better and having confidence and to be you. Because I don't want someone that tells me they're perfect, because now I know you're a bullshit artist and I'm not going to trust anything you say.
Hell
So
yeah.
I think there's a lot of importance in that, and building the confidence to be you, and, and just allow that to attract people.
One of the things you just hit so much that I appreciate it, because it's what I've been coaching and talking about for years, and I don't get through to as many people as I'd like to. And that point is really simple. You said don't throw your card at people. Don't stick out your chest. The conversations do not need to have anything to do with real estate. And that's what the biggest question I get when people start talking to the people they know. You said this phrase earlier, know, like, and trust as well, right? So for me, it's not only know, like, and trust, but for me, it's lead, serve, and inspire, which is one of the things that I need to do on a regular basis. And how do I do that? I'm me. I talk to people like, for instance, I'm really good at certain things because I used to suck at them, right? And I've really worked really hard to figure out how to do them so I can help others learn how to do them. I actually look at too much stuff rather than honing it in. But the point I'm making about how to have conversations is all about what you do, how you say it, and it's not about selling. Nothing is a pitch. You don't have to pitch anymore, because let's face it, who the hell wants to get sold? Who the hell wants to hear another freaking commercial? Nobody does. And that's what most agents are doing. When they come to your events, and the people that come to your events, it's all about talking to people. It's all about getting to know people. I usually say to people, say to agents, look, it's like when you were in fourth grade. Why I use fourth grade? I don't know. But I remember standing online for grammar school at fourth grade, and new kids were coming up the first day of school and says, I used to say, hi, I'm Dave. What's your name? I swear to God, I remember that. And that's what it's really all about, just introducing yourself and having a conversation. Because the fourth grade, we really got not much to say about what we do. We got nothing to pitch. We just want a friend. Would that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And listen, if you guys follow me on social media, what you'll see is that, back to your 80/20 rule, I'm only giving you a link to follow or something to think about, click on, whatever, 20% of the time. The rest of the time, I'm there to entertain you. I'm showing you who I am. I'm with my kids. I'm dancing on reels. I'm showing you my workouts. I'm just trying to inspire you, get you all revved up, because that's what makes people want to work with me. It's not the sales pitch. The sales pitch is just a reminder, like, hey, I'm here if you need me, right? But I'm not there pitching. I'm there being me, because the more I show you of me, the more you're going to like me, and the more you're going to get to understand what my values are and if they align with yours. So the people who come to my events, they're not flinging their cards. Guest time, but they learn real fast. Homie, don't play that. All right. You're not here for that. If you want that, go get that from the 85,000 other networking groups that are around. That's not what my group's about. My group's about adding value. And now, a year later, we're almost up on our year anniversary of me running this group, Pivot and Slay Meetup, is the people in that room vibe with my values. They understand what I stand for, and they come to add to that, to create community that supports each other. And so if you just be you, the people who think that's awful, they're not going to talk to you and follow you anymore. And the people who think that's great, They all in there liking your stuff and in your DMs and wanting to work with you somehow, some way when the time is right. So it is all about just being you and being open to those conversations with the right people and not being like, I don't want to look on your news feed, right? Like you're, I don't know, Dave, the real estate agent on Instagram, and all I see is house. Oh, you sold a house? Oh, you sold a house? Well, you're a fucking real estate agent. I hope you're selling houses. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? I don't need to see that, right? I could go and drive down the street and find 17 real estate agents if I wanted to.
Right.
Why do I want Dave? What about Dave makes me feel connected? Oh, he's got kids. I got kids. Oh, he likes yoga. I like yoga. Oh, he works out in the morning. So do I. That's the stuff that makes people feel connected to you. Not the fact that you sold a house. Great job. You did your job. Whoop-de-doo. No one cares.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for saying it. It's well, one of the things, I don't pitch anybody to come work with me. I just ask them, hey, if you're interested in finding out what we do or how we do it, come over and come over, watch what we do, enjoy it, enjoy what we do with others, right? So it's basically, you do it by, bringing people into your Pivot and Slay meetup and having conversations. We do it with conversations as well to experience what we're doing. It's all about experiencing today. It's not about pitching anything. So if anybody wants to experience what we're doing, well, they should join us at what we're doing and watch what we're doing. It's like, for instance, with your social, they're experiencing you. It's all about what you do and how you do it so that they can get, they appreciate you. They see what you're doing. For me, it's all about the passion of what I do. I don't care how long. I will keep going until I can't, but it's still going to be the passion that I have and what I can give to anybody. Hey, look,
Yep.
a lot of people don't like my passion. They don't like what I have. That's fine. I don't really give a shit, but the point is that I'm there to give as much as possibly can. And you do as well. I want to go through a couple of quick things when we talk about with Pivot and Slay and stuff. And the first thing you say, and just quickly, we'll go through these. And one's really important to me. You first. That's one of the things you say on your site about stepping into authenticity and unlocking freedom. You mentioned a little bit before. Just hit that really quickly.
You first. I mean, everything starts with you. And I found this out the hard way. I was telling my kids, go and live your dream. Meanwhile, I was stunted. I didn't know what I wanted. I wasn't as happy as I could be. And then I realized, well, if I go tell them to clean their room, do they clean their room? Usually not, right? But if I go and show them why this is important and how to do it, then they do. I got to show them. I got to lead them. And I can be the best leader for my kids, for my staff, and for my clients if I go out and do what I say I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you, go be free, go put yourself first. And then you see me on the news feed, on my Instagram, not doing anything, not going out, right? Not adventuring, not putting myself first. No, you're not going to believe me. I have to lead with the truth. The truth is I go get manicures. I go get facials. I go on vacation a lot. I just got back from a trip. I put myself first. I wake up early. I do alone time. I set my boundaries and I stick to them. And that's why I'm so happy. That's how I go pick up my kids at 2:45 without a nanny, right? They see me doing it. They see me working efficiently and running a business that doesn't even need me. I don't have to go to Mad Men anymore. I built that machine. I'm on to the next machine. If I am leading from the front, I am doing what I say you should do, and I'm showing you the way. And I can't do that unless I put me first, because I am the head of the household. I am the head of the business. I'm the head of my clients, my staff. I have to lead the way. And I do that by getting selfish. That's how I found my happiness. And the happier I am, the more passion and energy I can put into everyone and everything I love.
Mindful, not mindless.
Yeah. I hate when people say, oh, I just need to do something mindless tonight. So they come home from work or, whatever, and they're scrolling and they're scrolling. What the hell am I there for? Doing with yourself, right? Go in there with purpose. I'm not on social media to make friends. I'm on social media to find leads. I'm on social media to make money. I'm on social media with a purpose. My page has a purpose. You don't see everything I do because I have a personal life too. This is a business. All right. I'm not coming home at night and zoning out and watching TV. I'm coming home at night, and if I have extra time, I'm reading. I'm nourishing my soul through yoga or meditation. I'm spending meaningful time with my family. I'm being purposeful. Is just zoning out, mindless. Mindless doesn't make you happy. Mindless is a way to avoid things. It's harder to be mindful and lean in to what's bothering you and lean into the silence and get comfortable in the silence than it is to just scroll, watch TV, and be mindless.
Purpose-driven days.
My purpose driven days, and this kind of ties into what I just said, is I am
Mhm.
going to have the most efficient day possible. I'm not going to just wake up and let the day take over me. I know when I wake up, I know what I'm doing, what I need to accomplish, and how I'm going to do it. And I sit down and I effing do it. That's the end of the story. I am not taking time to just, be be wasting precious hours. That's the biggest commodity I have. Now, that's not to say I don't go with the flow. Like if I plan today to write all day my book and I'm not in flow, I'm not feeling it. All right, I'm going to lean into that a little bit and listen to my body, but I'm not going to let that day go by without purpose. So I like to bunch my time into energy. So if like I'm going to coach all day. If I'm going to podcast, I'm going to podcast all day. If I'm going to write all day. That's how I work the most efficiently. So that's purposeful.
Build autonomy in your day.
Yeah. That means to me, work in your best way. I'm not going to write a book at 2 p.m. That's not when I'm at my best, right? So I make my day surround me in the best way. If I know I'm on in the morning, well, guess what I'm doing in the morning? I am having my autonomy to do the work I know I will do best in the morning, which is the thing I need the most. Anything I need the most brain power for has to happen before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So know yourself and use that knowledge to plan a day that works for you.
Okay. My favorite one. No. How to say
Ooh,
no. It's
took
my
me so long
favorite
to
one.
say no. Oh my God. No is a sentence, guys. No one needs to know your explanation.
Thank you.
No one needs to know. NO, that is it. You want to go out tonight? Nope. You want another drink? Nope. You want to go for exercise together? Nope. That's me time, right? I don't need to give you an explanation. And the more I say no to the things that don't align with me, the more room and energy I have in my life for the things that do align with me. I don't need to say yes to that friend from high school that was nice to go out to dinner and rekindle. I don't need to do that. Yeah, you were nice. That's cool. We're not in the same spot. There's nothing wrong with that. No, wish you the best. No, because if I say no to you, I get to watch a movie with my kids tonight. If I say no to you, I get to go out on a date with my spouse. If I say no to you, I get to write my book. No is important. It sets the tone for you inviting what you want in and keeping what you don't want out.
I absolutely love all of this stuff because when I saw that, I said I knew I had to ask you all those questions, but I knew that no was going to be last. I knew that was going to be there. I want to thank you so much for everything you've talked about and for gracing me with your presence. I'm just so excited about having you. You know, I know this. You're not in the real estate business, but everything you talked about is so impactful and so helpful to any real estate agent that really wants to grow their business and to turn into a badass, right? And that's who we all want to talk to and we want to work with is badasses. So I've got a couple
Yeah.
quick things, but here's one thing: is we have your Instagram on the screen, we have your website and your Facebook on the screen. Is there any other way people can get in touch with you? Anything you want to say to people how they can get in touch with you best?
I would love to hear from you. I answer all DMs personally. So please DM me. I'm on all the socials, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at the Jessica Dennehy. So you can DM me on any of those. We'll return your DM and let me know that you listen to me here so I know and send me a follow so we can stay in touch.
Awesome. So I have two more things. One is how can I help you grow your business?
Ooh. Well, I think having me on your podcast, if I may call it that, is one of the best ways because I get my message out to new people. So hopefully they'll just all like and follow me so I can reach new audience, which I think is super helpful to me. So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And my objective is to help as many people as I possibly can. And one of the things I write and say every day is I wake with excitement and energy to help as many people as I can during the day. And that's what I do. Who can I help today? Maybe I helped you. Maybe I helped somebody else out there. I just hope I did. Last but not least, the most important thing that we're going to talk about ever is you heard one thing, and that's why you decided to come on the broadcast, is that you got a hat. So you know what?
Yeah,
Everybody comes on
that's the only reason I'm here. Just
that's what everybody says. But I want to thank you for coming on, Jessica Dennehy. Thank you so much. Pivot and Slay. Check it out, pivotandslay.com. I mean, there's so much value that you brought today and so much value that you bring other human beings. I thank you for them. I thank you for me. I thank you for being on the broadcast. Just hang out with me 1 minute as we go off. Hey, guys, everybody, next week, we've got Keith Pike, owner of Remax Elite in Little Rock, Arkansas, one of the top 1% of agents in the world. He's going to join us and talk about how he grew his business. In the meantime, thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a great week, and we'll see you on this broadcast next week. Thanks so much. Technology, again, here we are. There we go.